Welcome to Lesson 11, Medium and High Fidelity Prototypes. By the end of this lecture, you'll be able to describe 3 medium fidelity prototyping techniques, distinguish a horizontal prototype from a vertical prototype, compare pros and cons for low fidelity versus high fidelity prototyping, and list 3 different ways to integrate prototypes with final products. From last time, you'll remember we defined fidelity as the amount of functionality and performance relative to a final product. And as you make your prototypes, they might be low, medium, or high fidelity, depending on what your needs are. This depends on the stage of design you're in. If you're early on or starting an iteration, you want low fidelity prototypes to cover lots of ground. Medium fidelity prototypes allow you to ask more detailed questions and approach something resembling a final system. And high fidelity prototypes will get you to limited field testing or final evaluations. We've also covered low fidelity methods like sketching, storyboarding, paper prototypes, pictives, and experiential prototypes. So let's talk about medium fidelity prototypes. There are 3 main types that we'll cover in this class: scripted simulations, interface builders, and Wizard of Oz. Scripted simulations involved kind of walking people through the different steps with an interface or images that appear like your interface. So you have a use case, and you help people go through with a prototype that is actually embedded in software or somehow appears very a little bit more like a final product. So here we've got a system that allows you to catalog different items when shopping. So you want to find the item that you want in the catalog and then scan the barcode next to it. When you do so, you have this thing appear, and it's got a set of checkboxes. And you can see it's articulating that it's green or blue. These might be actual widgets that you can click on, or it could be some sort of image stack and PowerPoint to make it easier to prototype. And if you click on them, there's a hyperlink that brings you to the next screen. And so if you say, I want this stroller, but I don't want green, it's going to be super ugly, I want blue, you can click on the checkbox, and it either checks that box or it flashes to a different image that allows you to pretend like it has. So you take your use case and you very closely resemble that in software, and you can do that either by writing a program to do this or by using things like HTML with hyperlinks, or even something like PowerPoint to be able to click through an interface. If you want to get closer to programming a system rather than just walking through static screens, you might choose to use an interface builder. Some examples include Unity, if you're building a game system or you want to do something in 3D or maybe in VR, or Figma, which we'll be teaching in our lab sections of this class. These allow you to really create wireframes that allow you to easily link things, maybe have animations, and they become quite powerful for creating medium and even high fidelity prototypes. But I recommend against using them early on in the design process, since they do take that extra step from sketching. The final method we'll cover is Wizard of Oz. See if you can guess what's going on.
Who's inside? You know you're there. Nobody's there, man. Nice one. Nice one, guys. Nice one.
Wizard of Oz is a technique that involves a user interacting as though they're interacting with the system. And there's a person behind the curtain simulating software responses. Much like in the Wizard of Oz, spoiler alert, the wizard was manipulating this grand machination behind a curtain. It's good for interfaces with a high cost of development. For example, that popping out eyeglasses video that we showed. And for testing best case design. So for things like voice recognition. And so in these events, it might be very easy for a person to simulate how the system would interact in a way that might even be very realistic. And we use this in research techniques often. So with voice or robot manipulation, sometimes we Wizard of Oz it to see what the best design is and exploring what the possible best case design would be. So those are the 3 medium fidelity techniques. Remember, medium fidelity prototypes often use the same medium as the final product. So they might be in software or in hardware. They have some, but not all functionality. And they can take many forms. They could be scripted simulation, interface builder, Wizard of Oz, something else. The purpose is that it's approaching that fidelity. It's kind of this transition between, your initial low fidelity sketches, but you're not building something that seems really realistic or close to the final product in terms of appearance or functionality, which would be a high fidelity prototype. These prototypes are near fully implemented. They look like the final system, and they use materials you expect to be used in the final product. This Dilbert cartoon might actually help us out here. Thanks for making up that product mock-up last week. The customer liked it so much that he ordered 1,000. That was a mock-up. We don't make product yet. It would be 3 years to make one. Just give me 1,000 mock-ups. The first one was terrific. The mock-up was our competitor's product with duct tape over the logo. So it's pretty easy to create a high-fidelity prototype. Now it's your turn. Individually, follow the instructions on Learn to propose pros and cons of low-fidelity prototyping versus high-fidelity prototyping. Go ahead.